too, Capricorn. I had to start that again because there was a bit of exposure there, a bit like, you know, when you're going down the red carpet and the tape wasn't working. Yeah, something to that degree. I've got a sports shirt on. Regardless, this doesn't really relate to your read, but it's comical anyway, but I wouldn't put that on comedy on YouTube anyway. Now, I am going to do this read both psychically, astrologically, and intuitively linked in with the cards. Now, uniquely, in the previous video that I did start, I did directly have a message from a fellow friend that is Capricorn. And I was like, how uncanny that I have this message from you. So I contacted this individual and I broke the reading down for the person and said, do you feel these synchronistic things happening? This is what comes up in your astrology. And it was like tick, tick, tick. Now, remember, this is a general read. So unless I was tuning in directly to your energy, I couldn't get it smack bang to the point in a sense. And even astrologers say that. But in an overall energy, I can give you a theme coming through. And it's slightly interesting. I've also got your romance house, so do stay tuned because a lot of things on the external can directly impact our romance house. And that's why I like to do the reads very much like this, so that we can be prepared for all angles and look at the romance. Because, you know, our vibration can impact the frequency of the laws of attraction. So it's necessary to cover all bases so that we're empowered and we have the tools at hand to deal with anything that might be coming up at an energetic level. I look at the astrology more so from a perspective of a weather forecast, so that when these things happen, we can utilize our power to deal with the scenarios more patiently, more informed, and more in the knowing of how to deal with those situations when they crop up. Now, this month we are going to have Mercury retrograde. From my experience with Mercury retrograde, it is going to be in Pisces, which can be a deeply, deeply psychic time. And Pisces is theoretically connected to the subconscious mind. So again, I do suggest through any clearing of that chakra, you need to drink fluid for the psychic downloads, your intuition to be working in optimum speed. Especially, you know, in a communication sector, it's more of what you feel versus, how do I put it? It's not skimming, see? It's not skimming the surface in situations. It's the reflection back on communication, movement, past tense actions and movement. And it's a beautiful time to look at things and fine-tune them. So potentially not the best time to start new contracts, but we can't pause life. So if that is to be so, and you are looking at contracts or purchasing goods, it can navigate electronics and technology. So if you were buying anything to that degree, you can't avoid doing that. And it can be where actual items break and they don't work. You're better off to keep the receipts because it's a bit like a Black Friday sale. You keep your receipts because sometimes it can be that there's faults in them. But really stay on your A game when it does come to the energy. I tend to find at the very beginning and the very end, the shadow aspect, 9 times out of 10 in my opinion is heavier. It's almost like the aftershock of it. Yes, you become more clear in thought, but the agitation of that energy is introduced. The equilibrium bows out, and then it amps up again a little bit at the very end of the month. We're also going to have Juno in retrograde. Now, Juno in retrograde is going to be in Libra, and Juno is a feminine energy, i.e. justice card, when it comes to making judgments of contracts, partnerships, love, you know, looking at things. In similar in a retrograde, it can be an old energy tying out. It can also be a decision to end a particular contract, partnership, movement forward, or a way of being. So again, I will tune into your romance house and look at that directly for you. The other interesting thing we have happening is the Sun is going to be in Pisces, Mercury is going to be in Pisces, and we have Venus in Aries. So currently, the Aries energy in astrology happens to be in Chiron. So we can do it 2 ways. Chiron for you guys is your 4th house. And your 4th house links in, again, with your physical foundation, domestic issues, endings, parents' home. So, you know, in that frequency, it's looking at life, and I have had this area highlighted in my chart last year. And I found the way I actually dealt with it, it was a bit like you would get the foundation correct, you'd get a routine going, something would shift and change, and you had to come back to it. It was really fine-tuning those energies. Fortunately and unfortunately, in general, you know, Aries technically on the zodiac, well, it was the first house. When Chiron enters into this area, it is actually staying there for 8 years. So you're going to be spending the next 8 years in a trigger point looking at how people potentially have interrupted your energy, changed your schedule, potentially gave power away. And you guys are really in your A game with your element at the moment. And I do feel you're being really accountable about what you're wanting to achieve. You might have even looked at things of, you know, assessing people and how they directly affect your home domain, how they affect your movement and your growth forward, and really looking, taking the scientific eye to situations and really saying, unless I can visually see this, and this is the way I articulated it to my fellow Capricorn friend, really taking on the Virgo energy and being quite cutting, being to the point where you can say, okay, I'm smelling a rat. No, you smell like a rat. No. And then moving over to the right. Or, okay, I see this is of a mutual kind of situation, a give and take, a reciprocal energy. I can see the outcome. I'm willing to put the energy into the situation, and I know I have control over that. I'm choosing to do such. You're selective about who you mix with as well at the moment. You can be finding yourself in ebbs and flows through this transit, where you're going to be getting tired, you know, when we do get to a stage where we're sleeping extremely well, it is an energy upgrade. So we've theoretically, at an energetic level, purged an aspect of a belief system. Then we go into a sleep state where we are actually recouping that frequency, and the crowning card is very much linking to that. So I'll get tucked into your read and I'll articulate how this actually plays out. Now, you have the Chariot as your crowning energy. Now, the nodes currently are in Cancer and Capricorn, and uniquely enough, Cancer is your 7th house and this card is 7. So again, I sat there with the frequency. There is something on the home front changing. With this particular friend of mine, they happen to have a flatmate. Now, this will be completely unique to your own energy of what's going on. But this energy does very link in with home, tribe, family. It can be empath energy, very much connecting in maybe with a female energy, but not necessarily mother frequency. Because the moon also is deemed as a feminine frequency, but more from a psychic intuitive level. And the sun is very much connecting with Leo, but it's more the strength. It's a masculine frequency. And we all, as humans, have it. So we've got the aspect of the strength, the go-getter, the hunter-gatherer, and we also have the intuitive side of ourselves of trusting our intuition, following our instincts, listening to our thoughts. So it's the yin and yang of that, and when they're in balance, we tend to have a better movement of that. Now, both energies, Mercury is going to be in Pisces, which is the 12th house. You then have Mars moving into Capricorn. So again, what you're fighting for, it can be quite forceful on the 16th. So just bear that in mind, especially with some of these things that potentially you have been waiting very patiently for. You may be looking at yourself and going, okay, am I fight? Be sure that you know you're fighting for the right thing, and what you're willing to do. Why, you know, the what, where, why, and how. Really get the balance in focus so that you can look at that, because the Mars frequency in that, you know, the shadow aspect of it can come across as oxymoron. I mean, Mars is very much linking in with battles and war and fight, and potentially the chakra that is connected to the Capricorn card, the Devil card, which is, I keep forgetting this. I've gone blank today. Where is it? South node? Yes, I know that part. There it is. Sacral chakra. So the orange chakra. So the orange chakra governs your fear. Can be addictions, can be temptation, but it's also creativity. And again, hunter-gatherer, very Capricorn energy. The Devil card in the Tarot But the Capricorn frequency at a positive level is being deeply, which is what we have been. And as I said to my fellow friend, it's like hugely educational for us, because on the lighter side, because we all have yin and yang within our signs, on the lighter side of things, it's really looking at things very Virgo-like, black and white. Okay, do I value this? No? Well, why are you there? Do I want to build this situation? It can be a business, it can be a venture. Yes, okay, we'll take the Capricorn energy and put your money where your mouth is. Let's get going. And it's going to be a lot of hard work. But, you know, your energy understands this. Your energy understands what you've got to do. Now, something has gone down in the home environment. Connecting to family, again, spiritually speaking, is something robbing your peace. It is about movement and change in that area. And again, you can be really fatigued. And you work very hard for what you have. So in a home-related dynamic, you have worked extremely hard. If something is coming in and shaking it up, you need to create healthy boundaries in this situation. And it is your crowning energy. And it's like you're really looking at your life, especially with your pain body experience of Chiron in Aries, and looking at those aspects and saying, hey, I've been here, done that. Nothing's going to rob my peace, nor my beautiful routine that you've really worked for. Uranus and Taurus does cause shake-ups though. So this is falling in your 5th house, and the 5th house is connected to romance, birth, children, and luck. So it may even be at a simplistic level. I had a cool run for a while, and then out of nowhere, potentially at the very end of last month, this might have been showing you aspects of it. You know what to bring to an end, because again, Pluto is in Capricorn at the moment. You also know what you need to do. But with the Uranus and Taurus frequency of, you know, wanting to hold on to that, like, and thinking, it's a bit like building a pyramid. I want to build a pyramid, which is home domain. This will create comfort, security, and permanency. Uranus teaches us about impermanency. So these transformations can cause tension and nerves, a false pretense of permanency, because even a home is a false pretense of permanency, because your needs change. Sometimes you sell, sometimes we don't have money for them. You know what I mean. But the home inside of you and who you directly are is all that is needed in the 3D, because these changes do not define you. Only within a pain body experience will they trigger you, and it's trying to keep positive through any adversity of what you may deal with. But I feel this is you actually taking the bull by the horns and shaking it up, because you're visually seeing something, you're being accountable, and you're calling it BS. The next card you've got is the King of Water. And again, the water signs, you know, the water signs, and they're coming up in the astrology at the moment. You're very trusting towards these particular energies. You're thinking back to the past again. This is in the past tense position. You may have been understanding, compassionate to do with the scenario. You may be very, very dependable due to the fact that you are very clear-minded, you put your money where your mouth is, and you achieve. So you may have been understanding and compassionate at a point. But you also are very truthful with situations. You know, you might feel that individuals around you are exactly the same as you, and not necessarily, okay? So you're looking at this, but there's reflection going back, saying to yourself, okay, look, I'm looking at this honestly and earnestly, and this can be in any area of your life. The first 3 cards at the top, both with your crowning energy, is general. Then I'll really tuck into the energy of other areas of life and love. And I'll interlink them so you understand. So a deep reflection here is going on, potentially linking in with home, potentially linking in with people that you know. It could even be in an energetic level. You've really moved those away, and these are new energies coming into your life, but there is this potential that it's occurring right now. With this occurring right now, I do feel this is an assessment, drawing a line in the sand and getting ready to deal with the situation head on. Now, the next card is in reverse. Some situation hasn't come to an end. It's release in reverse. It's going to come up, and you're looking at it and you're thinking, I thought this would have been resolved by now. It hasn't been. I'm not enjoying this frequency anymore. And this is the card of unexpected joy in reverse. It's like you're not pleased by the outcome of a scenario. It's taken a little bit too much time, potentially now looking at it similar to a Virgo or Saturn, really. It's like, look, something's got to give. Saturn being your first house is what you can do versus how people see you. So, if somebody is not treating you great, it's a check-in time, and it's there to actually stand through, move through. This can be a spiritual upgrade where you're creating healthy boundaries and you're saying, look, you're taking a toll. And it's also at a sympathetic level if somebody really is having a hard time, but allowing them to actually build. And you not necessarily going over old ground. You may share the energy with these individuals or individual of your experience, but you can lead a horse to water, you can't make a drink. And this is sort of the energy that's coming through. Proceeding forward, and I do feel the first week of February is going to be pretty hard, but we're probably not going to be out of the woods energetically, emotionally, in a huge movement sense, probably through to March when the nodes do change, which will then be there for 2.5 years. You've got the Knight of Water, and again, this is a lot of emotions, both past and moving forward. The energy you're putting in, the intuition you're putting in. The Leo Moon is going to ask you to go inside and think, not all strength and vigor. Not all bull energy moving forward, but intuition, feeling, reality-based situations and where they lay and lie. Emotional, romantic, enthusiastic, contemplative. Clarifier. There's something you've lost faith in at a spiritual, emotional level. And again, with this Mercury in Pisces, it's going to be very psychic, but don't rose-colour situations. Look at the deeper reason why certain things are happening. By the time we move into the new moon in Pisces, again, it is covering your third house. It's really having to communicate your truth towards these individuals, creating healthy boundaries, and you have faith in reverse. You're going through an assessment state. You're waiting very patiently. You're looking at it. You will always find when you're going through personal growth in life and in astrology, there will be common themes attracted to you, especially with the Saturn-Pluto frequency. You will be having the energy transforming in a sense that is really making you deeply intuitive. You also are really reaching for the stars at the moment and wanting these transformations. Now, in your work front, you do have the World in reverse. Now, the world upright is completing, ending a cycle, learning a lesson, evolving, transforming, so to speak, i.e. you have Visit in reverse, and poor lighting for it. Visit in reverse. You also have, okay, you're thinking very critically about a new start, but before you do that, you want to think very, very carefully. You also know that you're the only one that can make that decision, be it with money, be it with how you apply your energy moving forward, or be it within a career. Some of you are on the fence, but you're not right away making huge jumps, and it's wisely guided. Because again, as I mentioned, if you are thinking of transferring over or changing a situation and you're in assessment mode, it's going to be a little bit more, it's a great time for selling, I will say that. During a Mercury retrograde, 9 times out of 10 you have more luck selling than buying. But again, do read the fine print. And again, I'm not a financial advisor, but from an astrological point of view, this is what's taught. You can be a bit, some of you might be going away somewhere. So, and when I say going away, it feels more abroad, thinking about becoming large. Also thinking about, and again, this person did mention upskilling. Now, fears of isolation in this position, coming out of hermit mode, moving into movement, you're wanting to keep on your A game. You're in your Capricorn energy. You're looking at your life in general and just saying, right, I've got to put my money where my mouth is. If I need to assess this and I'm going to tune in, what am I going to do? And how can I look at this situation so I can take direct accountability to transform what's currently here? And I do feel regardless, it's going to be you actually putting yourself out there. Just because it's Mercury retrograde, don't stop, okay? Don't get to a point you don't. If you're applying for jobs and things to that degree, in the cards of what's coming through is it's not going to come to you. You need to go to it, and that's what's being shown to me. So really putting yourself out there, really regardless of any current weather forecast of astrology, or once you've made that kind of upgrade inside yourself, especially when you're thinking on a situation. What tends to happen is if you're coming from the 3D rational mind, you're thinking on the scenario, you're thinking. You can then become exhausted, which is the Ten of Swords. You're like, I'm thinking about all these things, thinking about all these potential outcomes and no doors opening. Well, number one, it could be something as simple as actually deciding one path and it narrows it down. And then manifestation is very strong then. But I do feel if you are getting tired, it's because you're releasing a belief in the lower chakras. That's when it upgrades. And look, the energy of feminine and masculine in Zodiacs and psychically speaking tuning in, both of you will do it different. On the empath aspect of things, you're intuitively tuning in. And male energies can do this as well. But I am finding the male energies are looking at things very, very 3D, very rational. Very Virgo energy. The black and white of the situation. Let's look at the reality. How can I look at this? Do look at the shades of grey in between. Do look at the fine print. Look at the bigger picture of what you're trying to achieve. Look at the traffic light scenario of what I do preach on YouTube, which I use for myself. Red could be you're triggered or you're tuning into something. You're not quite sure how it's going to go. Get grounded. Take your shoes off. Sit there in thought. Be patient with yourself. Don't expect to jump straight in the deep end and make a decision. Yellow. What are you trying to achieve with it? Pause, meditate. Okay, 2, now after I have got myself grounded, what then can I do to take direct action? Is it something I can do or is it connected to another energy? If it's another person, you have no control over that, but you do directly have control over how you can deal with it. Not dealing is dealing because it's still giving personal power away, and that's the yellow chakra. So if you're getting a hunch and you know it needs dealing with, really stepping forward and having a look at that. And I think most of you are actually doing that. In the green, okay, proceeding forward. You're coming out of the hermit mode energy, which is positive, but I do feel it's big changes, big changes that are really going to give you leaps and bounds. More manifestation ability, more cash component, more happy frequency, but it's arduous dealing with old frequency. So this could be really nagging at you. Eat, pray, repeat, I hear, doing Groundhog Day. You're not meant, you deal with Groundhog Day great, but the signs and synchronicities in your head are saying something needs to shift. And you're really great at acknowledging that factor. Your family domain at the moment, and this can be people around you because it's family and tribe. Tribe is very much the people we're linking in with. It can be in your workplace. It can be in your home environment, especially with the crowning energy of home. The Chariot being, can connect in with Cancer. 7 being very spiritual, feeling fatigued and tired. In your tribe location, you've got the Ace of Earth. Needing to get grounded, needing to have more downtime. There might be a lot going on at home. There might be changes going on the work front. Now, more money might be going out than coming in, but it's for a home-related environment. Some of this can potentially be putting some other areas of your life, i.e. work, on hold till some of the home-related dynamics are tied up and tied up. Also, there could be interference, etc., very much linking with people that you don't wish to mix with. And some of you may be so very busy, especially with your in general crowning energy, that you physically don't have time to do the niceties of life, the socialisation, etc. You're not liking it, okay? This is like lover in reverse. It can be due to some past tense separation, working very hard, for everything you now have achieved, and then looking at that and thinking, gosh, I've had to work incredibly hard to get where I am, and it's really something you should pat your back with. Let's look. You do feel stuck because there are a lot of responsibilities on you, especially when it does come to your home environment. But you also are placing some of these on yourself. because you have an end goal in mind. Now, your health and your environment, you have the 5 of fire, and it's in reverse. Upright, it connects to being able to complete goals, targets, bothersome details, conflict with others. Well, what I'm getting from this, you may not have enough time to do squat. You may be working very hard. It feels as though it's never ending. So it's these frequent situations of potentially, again, of a home nature that you're looking at that are calling you back for you to actually sort situations. Again, in the upright, it's having the ability to multitask. I'm going to look at your 4th house. Hello. Your physical foundation, stability. Now, how do I explain this to you? As long as you can keep organised, get to a point, especially during Mercury retrograde, get a notepad. When you're feeling down about these situations, you're not going to have to think about it. So I do feel all these bothersome tasks, they can be affecting health and you remembering things, but it's going to be pretty busy this month. So it's not, I'm saying you're forgetful. You can become, during this transit, more forgetful. Also, from a psychological point of view, spiritually speaking, if you jot down what the tasks are, it actually takes the frequency out of your body and onto a piece of paper, which you can actually see some actions. So it can be ticking each item off the list. So when you're looking at it, you can see some sense of progress. Sometimes it needs to be, some of us are very visual. So, if we check our bank statements, etc., we can see progress. So it's a visual aspect of things. Internally, when you know the bills are completed and you put them behind you, again, it's an aspect of progress. But at a visual level, it can be a motivation. So it may be something to that degree that's really going to help you. In the unseen position, you do have contentment, peace and abundance, a happy home life, a successful completion of a project. Again, I am feeling this is a really home-related dynamic. There is something that, look, you love it. It's just taking a lot longer than you thought, and it's taking a bit of a toll. It's a bit frustrating, and it might be a bit testing on your energy. The Pisces moon is going to be at the critical degree. I'm going to look again. Especially with somebody, if they're, trying to sell you a story, I do feel your subconscious mind and the energy of you being a Capricorn and the 3rd house of communication, which is very similar to Mercury, this may be something that you're creating at a very separate level in a home-related environment that you've been waiting and waiting and waiting, haven't had time to think. It's been non-stop, especially with the Ten of Swords energy. Ten of Swords is not great. It can be really directly impacting your health. But this could be another person's energy in your surroundings, in the movement you're having, and it's almost like, hey, somebody else's frequency is doing such, you're visually watching it. So yes, at times in the readings, other people's energy can seep through. But for most of you in the unseen position, the things you're wanting to achieve, it's for yourself. So make sure you fill your cup. It is important. It might feel that the situations you're going through, it's like, yeah, this is gifts in reverse. Unable to do certain things because of some money going directly into a home-related environment, and it being quite costly at the moment due to the fact of these big plans that you're trying to tie up, complete, especially with the world in reverse. Now, romantically speaking, again, it's like, look, it could even be that you're dealing with a Cancer. In the node effect, you're needing to move away from, especially in the opposite of the chart, our shadow side can be, for you, it will be Cancer. Looking at that and creating the balance between the Cancer Capricorn frequency of the two, and the nodes have been there for 2.5 years. So it's moving through those energies and dealing with them at a very balanced level. And at the moment it feels the scale is semi-imbalanced, but it's for the bigger purpose and the reason. Your crowning energy is 7 of fire, and I'm seeing any fire energies coming through as movement, also passion, also Mars energy. Now, Mars is going to be in your sign just being really cautious that what you're doing is because you want to do it, not because the Mars energy, you can take on that energy and there can be conflicts and fights. Defend your beliefs and decisions. Stand your ground, choose your battles wisely. This pertains to, and it's, to me, it's healthy boundaries. It's like, look, I've worked incredibly hard for this foundation. This is my home, this is my belief, this is the work I've done on myself, and it's living in your truth. That's what I'm saying. There also could be situations where if you are coupled, you're working very hard, and some of you might not have as much time to spend on the home front to work, and it can be polar opposite, either or, but it's like not having enough time to do one or the other, but it's more one than the other. Then you've got the Star in reverse, and this is more on the past tense energy within romances. You know, you've had some situations that haven't been so great, maybe poured energy into past tense scenarios or directly with this connection where it didn't quite turn out the way you thought. And I'm going to pull a clarifier on that. No. You're really, look, if you're not in a spiritual connection, I do feel you're really looking for something that is in alignment with who you are. You might have been dealing with a person potentially in the past that wasn't very organised. This could have really affected your frequency. It might have been that you had to fill their cup a lot of times, and it can go vice versa, okay? This is the overall energy of romance. So try not to take it personal, you know, if that is what's coming through. In a balanced sense, I do feel you guys are reflecting back on where the give and take was out of balance, and it did not make you happy in general. I do feel at the moment you're trying to do everything you can to get grounded. But you're being very selective about how you deal with love. You're being very selective. You're taking your time, you're assessing situations, and your foundation of this. You don't want to repeat a pattern, so I feel you're really crucially looking at yourself at the moment and saying, I'm not going to repeat a pattern. Some of you might have walked away from a situation, some of you may be walking away from a fight, but whatever you're doing, it's going to go in your success for romance. This can also be external influences impacting love. So it doesn't even have to be the direct romantic person. You do have the Star overall in love. So anything you're working towards, even at the laws of attraction level, if you are single, you're going to directly usher in, because you've transformed, you've changed, you're attracting the same energy that is going to directly mirror you. Like attracts like. Be cautious though, because I do feel for those of you that are single, you have your eye on a goal. Somebody you invested in the past might come back. Now, they might be a little bit high-strung. They might be a little bit agitated. You've got to assess the situation. Potentially, they could be coming back being quite direct, quite passionate. But at the same time, how were they before? It might have left a bit of taste in your mouth with this scenario. What is this about? Yeah, it made you feel quite stuck. I feel spiritually they might be stuck on you too. I'm hearing it was one extreme to the other. 1 minute. I feel in the first 2 weeks you're really going to take a step back. You're not going to look at the rose-coloured glasses. I do feel there might be choppy communication within the first 2 weeks. You're not going to be manipulated. You're going to think on this offer and the changes that you're wanting to make within a connection if you're in a connection. I do feel though these conversations are going to come up about the past. So potentially if you're waiting on communication, there is a potential. If there's conflict within a relationship, it's going to come up. You're going to talk about the bigger picture and you're going to come to a solution about it. So either way, it is positive. I will check in with you during the week. Capricorn, we are here to do your read for February. Now, very interestingly enough, I just happened to have a message from a friend that happens to be a Capricorn. Sorry, I'm all hanging out here. I'm trying to be ladylike. Wrong way.